added bonus, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's funny the way things work out. I mean, who would have thought, as you're a young fan getting into the business, that one day Stone Cold Steve Austin would be calling you, asking your opinion on a faction in the WWE? It's pretty funny.
Yeah, every part of it's insane. I mean, even and my career in particular has just been so insane. Like, there's literally no one outside of myself that even knows like all the things that I've done, or can draw like this kind of connection to them, because they have been so random. And even things we've touched about during this call, it's like, do people know that I'm the guy from the Backhead Wrestling video game? And if you do, is that the same guy that did Hulkamania's Hulkamania tour of Australia? And that's the same guy that was on Ultimate Warrior's last show ever, and then he also did Tough Enough, and then he was on Wrestling Society X, and now he's on Lucha Underground. Like, there's no possible way you'd be able to like tie those things together, because they're all awesome, and they're all just so random in relation to one another. But so it's been just an insane 16 years, but that's what keeps me involved, because I always think about, like, right now someone in the world is having some kind of conversation about me. Like, maybe they're in Belgium and they're like, maybe we should use Matt Cross. And it's like, that's happening, like, right now. So I just love that excitement of waking up every day and you don't know what's going to come your way. And so I always have that idea of, like, being ready. And people always ask me, like, oh, I want to be a wrestler. Like, what's your advice? And half the time, more than half the time, to be honest, I don't believe them. Because if you look at professional wrestlers, you have to look the part. There can't be some mistake between who's the fan, who paid for the ticket, and who's putting on the show. So I mean, and you look at the people who are at the tops of all these companies. Like, the higher your goals are, the higher aesthetics come into play, and you have to look a certain way. So if you're just, and there's room for everybody or whatever, and you got to have, I don't know, Tugboat, and you got to have Kevin Steen, and you got to have not everyone has to have a certain look, but by and large, it's not going to hurt you to achieve that. So when I see some random guy, and it's like, now, if you're going to the gym every single day and you're watching everything you eat, and then I can tell you're serious about this, and I can tell that you want to be a wrestler. Outside of that, like, a dream with no work is just that. It's a dream. Like, we can all have some silly dreams, but, like, you've got to work every single day, and, like, even myself included. It's like, me and Joe Hendry were on the ICW tour the other week, and the only time we could work out was 2 a.m. And that's insane. We went to the gym and we worked out at 2 a.m. because him and I both want to be pro wrestlers. I'll say in my head as I'm going through reps, and I've been working out for 18 years. It's a lot of times on a Friday night when I'm there by myself lifting weights, I'm not even counting reps, because your body doesn't even know numbers. It just knows how tired it gets. And as I do the reps, I'm like, I'm a pro wrestler. I'm a pro wrestler. I'm a pro wrestler. Because even now I'm chasing it. And I mean, this has been the craziest year I've ever had. And it's like, I've gone to 12 countries this year alone. But like I touched on earlier, but there's no, well, I did it. Like, time to relax. Like, let's go harder, let's go more, let's go. The work is all still there. All the work that got me here is going to get me to that next level, whatever that is. And it's like, that's just the mentality that I have, and just that hard work can't be denied forever. So just always being ready, because I knew, you can't really pick when you get opportunities in life, and especially in wrestling. So they might come, and you want to be ready. So you always have to. I just kind of stay ready for whatever that next thing might be.
Which is awesome, because you're literally wrestling around the globe. And as I start to wind it down a bit here, it's funny, you were saying, you wrestled here, you wrestled there. I mean, if you rattled off all the places, it would probably take all day that you wrestled. I mean, it's insane, the places you wrestled, but you failed to mention one little thing. Also, tried out for American Ninja Warrior, too, so throw that in there and add that.
Yeah, we try to have, like, many irons in the fire, so that's something that I was just such a fan of that show, and I would always watch it, and I was like, to some degree, I was the guy at home with this pseudo chip on his shoulder that's like, man, I could do this. Like, there is no, like, wrestling was always like, you're going to be too small, and you're going to be this, and I watched Ninja Warrior, I'm like, this is tailor-made to what I bring to the table. I mean, I'm one of the most athletic guys in wrestling, and I don't, that doesn't sound the best, or it sounds cocky, whatever, but, I believe it to be true, and it's only because what other guy has a formal 11-year background in gymnastics and continues to, just kind of pursue those avenues and stuff. So I'd watch this show, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. And I had been called by the producers because I had tried out previously for American Gladiators, so there were some tie-ins there. So I've been contacted almost every year, but I just wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, one year I was touring Ireland. One year might have been when we were doing Tough Enough. It was always some reason. And then I was like, man, whenever this comes around next year, I need to do it, because I knew it was going to be one of those things that if I didn't, I'd look back and regret it. And I'm like, I just need to know. And it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. It's nerve-wracking. But I can't think of anything more fun than just a giant human adult obstacle course somewhere. I mean, that's the coolest thing I can even think of. So I just wanted to just to try. I mean, if that existed in somebody's backyard or whatever, I'd want to come over and do it. You know, it's like, I just love that idea of kind of challenging yourself, especially in a physical manner. And I mean, I loved the jungle gym as a kid, so the fact that they blew it up and you know, I was like, I felt like I was on Legend of the Hidden Temple or Guts or American Gladiators, all these shows I grew up watching, and always being like, put me on, like, I need to do this. And I'm like, oh, there's an adult version now. Yes, like, here we go. And as what I believe to be a born entertainer, I was like, oh, I can kind of bring something different to the table as well. And yeah, it was great. I think now my schedule's like pretty much insane, so I don't know if it'd be able to kind of squeeze it in, but I plan on applying again this year, and hopefully I'll be back.
Which would be, you know, amazing. And think about your amazing career and all the crazy matches you've had all over the world. I mean, we didn't really even mention Ring of Honor, which you had a nice, long, good run there, or CZW, or Pro Wrestling Noah, you had a small run. I mean, there's so many different places, and you were able to make a mark and literally wrestled everywhere around the world. And we mentioned great matches with Cody or Matanza, or some more matches to come on season 3 of Lucha Underground. But is there a couple favorite matches besides those that you can think of that you would consider some of the favorites you've ever had?
I really liked working with Ultimo Dragon.
Oh, wow.
And that's another, like, weird, like, I've wrestled him 13 times. I'm sure no one knows
wow.
that. And I wrestled I wrestled him in Canada, in Italy, in Spain. So just, you know, to have him be a guy that, like, oh, in what, like, WCW NWO Revenge, the video game, like, I was picking him because he had the coolest outfit, and then being like, oh, here he is. Like, you were going to wrestle him night after night in front of 12,000 people in Spain, or you're wrestling him in Italy, or he's coming to Toronto, you're wrestling him. It's just, that was so cool. And so to become, you know, friends with him over the course of 13 matches and however many months and years, and had to see that kind of trust grow. So where the first match was much more basic, and then to eventually, like, okay, I'm going to do the Asai moonsault because, like, now I finally trust you to catch me or whatever, and these kind of things, and that was neat. So those kind of stick out to me just because they were all such great experiences. And then I think this one's fresh in my mind just because it kind of came up earlier in the week, but because someone had asked me, like, oh, have you ever wrestled Adrian Neville? Or maybe they even asked me if I'd ever met him. And I just thought that was hilarious because, like, I wrestled him in England, France, off the coast of Africa on an island called La Reunion, Spain, maybe Italy as well, I think Scotland, like in like half a dozen countries we've wrestled, and remain good friends. So I was like, yeah, I've met him. Like stuff like that was just so funny to me. But again, that just kind of speaks to the randomness of my career. But I've been lucky to wrestle so many good guys. I mean, me and Sanjay Dutt had this incredible match back in CZW in like 2004. That's sort of my stock go-to, my favorite match answer. There was just so much build-up to it, and the crowd that night was insane. And just I think that was something really special. I mean, if you want a very recent example, me and Mark Andrews at Progress last month, I think was something really special. Mark and I have known each other for years, but never got the chance to wrestle. And this is our first time, and it sounds great on paper, but that's a lot of pressure because just because something sounds good on paper doesn't mean anything. It could be terrible. But I really thought that not only are we similar in the ring, but outside of it as well, and just he's such a genuinely good guy. And it translated so well. And to do it in front of that Progress crowd, sold out in London, 700-800, whatever they pack into that building, it was one of my favorite finishing sequences. Certainly top 3, if not my top 1 ever. And to do it in front of that crowd was just so special. And like you talk about like the magic of pro wrestling, it was very, very evident and apparent right there. So, and to do it with a friend for the first time was nearly emotional. So that's a very, very recent example. But I feel like I've been on a tear. Like I had a friend recently that was like, every time you leave me a message, it's like you keep saying you just had the best match of your career or something. You've done that like 3 or 4 weeks in a row. And I hadn't really realized. I'm going back and listening to these messages. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'm like, I was never lying though. I'm like, I really thought that. I'm like, man, I'm just on a tear lately. And it's, I think wrestling, like we started on, to go full circle, is on the rise worldwide. And I'm so happy to still be involved. And I do feel like I'm having the best matches of my career right now. And just I don't know, in this really like excited, positive space where I can just kind of keep riding that momentum and getting to work with so much talent that's out there, and yeah, just keep this thing going.